What would you do if you were playing a game that was not meant for the faint of heart and you found yourself trapped in a nightmarish dimension, forced to compete for your life against demonic entities? Scary, right? Listen further. The old house had been abandoned for years, and the locals said it was haunted. But that didn't stop a group of friends from exploring it one night. They were looking for something to do, and they'd heard that the house was full of strange and mysterious artifacts. They found the board game in the attic. It was made of dark wood and had strange symbols carved into the surface. The box was sealed with wax, and there was a warning written on the lid. This game is not for the faint of heart. The friends were intrigued. They had never seen anything like it before. They decided to open the box and play the game. The rules were simple. Each player took turns rolling a die and moving their piece around the board. The first player to reach the end wins the game. But there was a catch. If a player landed on a certain space, they had to draw a card from the deck. The cards contained challenges or tasks that the player had to complete. If they failed, they were eliminated from the game. The friends started playing, and at first it was just a bit of fun. But as they played, the game began to take a darker turn. The challenges became more difficult, and the penalties for failure became more severe. One by one, the friends started to drop out of the game. They were either eliminated by the challenges or they simply refused to play anymore. Soon, only two friends were left, Sarah and David. They were both determined to win, but they were also starting to get scared. The game was taking a toll on them both physically and mentally. On the final turn, Sarah and David were neck to neck. Sarah rolled a 6 and landed on the final space. She had won the game. But as she celebrated her victory, David started to laugh. He pointed to the space where Sarah had landed. It was a trap space, and Sarah had triggered it. A portal opened up, and a hideous creature emerged. It was tall and thin, with sharp teeth and claws. It glared at Sarah with hatred in its eyes. "You have won the game," the creature said. "But now you must pay the price." The creature lunged at Sarah and she screamed. David tried to help her, but it was too late. The creature dragged Sarah into the portal and they both disappeared. David was left alone in the attic. He was terrified, but he knew he had to get out of there. He ran down the stairs and out of the house. He didn't stop running until he was safe at home. He never saw Sarah again, but he knew that she was still out there somewhere, trapped in the game with the creature. And he knew that one day he would have to go back and save her. A year later, David was back at the abandoned house. He had been planning his rescue mission for months. He knew that the portal would still be there and he was determined to find it. He searched the attic for hours until he finally found the trap space. He rolled a 6 and landed on the space, and the portal opened up. David took a deep breath and stepped through the portal. He found himself in a dark and twisted dimension. The creature was waiting for him, and it smiled when it saw him. "I've been expecting you," the creature said. "I knew you would come back to save your friend. The creature charged at David, but David was ready for it. He dodged the creature's attack and drew his sword. He had got this sword in one of the secret chambers in the attic. The creature roared in anger and attacked again. David and the creature fought for hours. David was wounded, but he refused to give up. He knew that he had to save Sarah, even if it meant sacrificing himself. Finally, David got the upper hand. He struck the creature down with his sword, and the creature's body turned to dust. David turned to the portal and saw Sarah standing there. She was safe, but she was also injured. David ran to her and helped her through the portal. They were back in the attic, and they were both safe. David had saved Sarah, but unfortunately he had been mortally wounded in the fight. He died in Sarah's arms, and she was heartbroken. But she knew that David had saved her life, and she would never forget his sacrifice. Thus, David fought and sacrificed his life to bring back his friend from the dark creature. End of the story. Hope you liked this story. For more interesting stories, please subscribe to this channel. Thank you.